Hello, guys. Good morning. It's been a night. How is everybody doing? My special guest is not here yet, so don't know what's happening with that. So the live might be a little bit different. Um, so maybe we'll just have fun. Um, I'm going to send the invite out to some other people. It's probably my fault because I was up so late and um, we'll see what happens. So, how is everybody doing today? Nobody in here yet. So I've had a long day, or yesterday I had a long day, and today's been, I slept in because I didn't sleep very good last night, unfortunately. Woke up for this at 10:30 and supposed to be on at 11. So that's kind of how it goes sometimes, And so here we are, just um, trying to make things happen. So. My channel's not getting pushed out lately, and I don't know what it is. So here I am. Hey, there you are. Let's put the link in the chat for you. I emailed it to you, but there we go. Hi, Miss Southern Belle. How are you? There's the link, so you can come on in anytime you're ready. Our treasured life. I think she went somewhere and is going to come back. How are you doing, Miss Southern Belle? Good to see you in here. And good. It's good to see you. I'm having a good morning. Just kind of woke up just for a good morning for not sleeping well. Let's just put it that way. It's just one of those days, and that's okay. That's the way it is sometimes. We don't always have the best days. So, hi, good morning.
Hey! You're not the only one that didn't sleep well last night. Nobody here slept well at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't think I didn't fall asleep till 3 o'clock this morning. I was just like, oh my goodness gracious.
I think that was me too. And then I had to get up several times and go to the bathroom. So, hi, Jack. How are you doing? Good to see you in here. Yeah, it was just one of those mornings that you're just like, holy cow, what's going on? So just a second, I'm going to share this out on my channel.
Oh, that's fine. Everybody's having issues with YouTube.
Are they
Les,
really?
yes, Les at Lone Star Pioneering.
Mm-hmm.
He was almost at 10,000. He's lost like 5,000 subscribers.
Oh,
Then
wow.
he put in one of his videos, and people are just like, yeah, a lot of people have lost like 1,100, and
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness. And my numbers, I found was like 530 last night. 530 subscribers. Woke up, I'm back down to 511. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are y'all doing? We think it's that spammer that's been in everybody's live that puts that naked thing.
Oh, yeah. It could be.
Because they even, when I was watching Elevation Church Sunday, they got into their live stream
Mm-hmm.
and in their chat. I was like, what in the world? What is going on?
That's not cool.
No, it was, his tech people were on top of it, but, still, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, we had him in here last night too. Um, I had a live stream last night. Hi, Aiden here. Good to see you. All the way from England.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah. So, okay. Well, I mean, what did you? I mean, what is your story? Where did your journey start, and how did you find uh, Christ and all of that stuff? And that's my question for the day, and that's about it. I'm just here to listen, and
Let me go put that curtain down so there's no glare. Oh my gosh.
thank you guys for coming in.
Oh. Mm-mm. Alrighty. Well, I was raised in a Christian home,
Mm-hmm.
and I was saved when I was 6 years old. So,
Okay,
but you know, I
that's
don't
not
know
where
if that
your
was. Yeah, I don't know if that
that's
was.
not where your journey ends, though, right?
No.
That's just part of your story. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's easy once you get saved. Life is hunky dory, and you don't struggle with faith, or you don't struggle with just your walk in general. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
It's
Um,
okay.
uh, you know, um, I was raised in a Christian home too, but I struggled a little bit, and there was things that because I was raised in a Christian home, I think I was naive to a lot of the things in the world, and so it can kind of set you up to for failure sometimes if you're not prepared for what's out there in the world. Um, so that was my struggle.
Yeah.
Hey, Triple
And then,
Threat.
when I was 13, because we had changed churches, I went to a Christian school,
Hmm.
and the church and school was together when I was younger. And then when I was 13, I switched to a different Christian school and went to a different church. And I, at 13, I went back up, and I really didn't know if I was saved or not. So I rededicated myself to the Lord and everything. And it just happened to be he was talking about missions that Sunday.
Mm,
And I really felt like I've been called to the mission field. You know how they make you
right,
feel.
right.
So, and then, through my teen years, things changed and everything, and did some things that I guess I shouldn't have done. And um, my mom always said, every time you like a boy, you act differently. And I was just like, she was a control person,
Hmm.
and she wanted to control everything we did, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I they call me rebellious. So,
Oh, okay.
know, because I wanted to make my own choices and do my own thing and go do the job I wanted to do, I was rebellious.
Mhm.
So I guess I want to say I use boys as rebellion because I really didn't date. I mean, total dating for me in my teens was like 5 guys. The whole from
Mhm.
13 to I got married. I probably dated 5 guys.
Yeah.
But the one guy in high school, I met him at church, and he ended up his father was abusing him,
Mhm.
and so when they found out that we were talking and seeing each other, he they came over to our house and they made him tell me that he was lying to me and all this other stuff. So they broke us up. Then
Mhm.
2 years later, I had was helping a friend with an apartment, and I was working at a motel, and he said he kept tabs on me. I don't know how he found me,
Mm.
and well, Richmond is big, but with the part where we lived, it's not that big, but it is.
Uh
You
huh.
can wait, if you wanted to find people.
Mhm.
He had left a message at my work, and so I called him, and he goes, he goes, I can't take it anymore. I want to go back to Ohio where his grandparents were. His mom had died when he was 10, and his dad came to visit and took him and basically kidnapped him because his grandparents had custody of him.
Right.
So he wanted to go back. So I was 19, he was 17. I took him back to Ohio. So, they were trying to say, uh, you know, things, and I crossed the border with a minor and this, that, and the other, and ended up that his father and his stepmother were getting a divorce and everything. And as soon as I went to tell the judge what his father told me he was going to do to him, his father goes, "Oh no, we're going to drop it. We'll drop it. We'll drop it," because his father didn't want people to know that he was beating him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got through that, and then a friend of mine, she would come pick me up, and we would go out and everything. But my parents never told me that he was calling me to have me come back up to Ohio. Because he
Mm.
goes, as soon as court's all over with the custody and everything in Ohio, I'm gonna call you so you can come back up. So they never told me he was calling at
Oh,
all because
weird.
they didn't want me with him.
Yeah.
They wanted to still control what I did, who I went out with, what job I had, and everything. And I was just, the more they did it, the more I just didn't want to be around them.
Right.
Um, my best friend we have DMV, Division of Motor Vehicles in Virginia,
Mhm.
and it was the Strip. So we would all go hang out down there, and she introduced me to this other guy, and ended up getting married to him. And I thought in my mind, getting married to him would get me out of my parents' house and we have a life and everything, and that didn't work. Ended up that he was an alcoholic. Um, we lived with my sister first, and well, before that, I got pregnant before we got married.
Oh,
But
okay.
he'd already had asked me in Christmas, and we were planning to get married in May. So we just pushed the date up. And not to go into great detail, but his mom and them, she did stuff against the law and everything, and that was a huge mess.
Mhm.
And so, just trying to help him out, try to make him help, him make a decision and everything.
Mhm.
So he said he wanted to be with me.
Yeah.
So we got married in April of 1990, and June of 2 months later, I lost that baby. I had a miscarriage.
Oh.
So, but you know, I was like, it was a lot of stuff going on. Anything could have been wrong. Doctor said it happens more often than people think it does.
It does. Yeah.
So then, 2 months later, I was pregnant again.
Oh, wow.
Didn't know it.
Sounds like me. I got pregnant really easy, really quick.
I didn't even know it, and I had so actually he'd be my second child, but he's my
Mm-hmm.
oldest son, and we lived with my sister. Then we lived with my parents, and lived with my parents for a couple of years, and it was always an up and down thing with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he would go out with friends after work and drink or get high and everything, and I told him if he's going to keep doing it, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'll never forget one day he came home and we had an argument. I packed his clothes in bags and threw them out the front door. So I'm done.
Yeah.
And then he came back and we talked and everything. So try to work things out. Then I got pregnant with my son that lives with me now. Oh,
Okay.
I take back that. Between my oldest son and the son I have now, or my son I live with now, I got pregnant again. And at
Okay.
7 weeks, I lost that child. And to me, it was still kind of interesting because I've had out 7 weeks. Um, Even though the sac and everything is about this big around, that baby was still formed. It had
Mm-hmm.
its legs, arms, hands, everything, and an eye. And I was just like, that was like they try to say, a baby's not a baby at 7 weeks. I personally know it is because I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant with my son Chase, and had him. So by the time he was born, we lived in an apartment with my brother's roommate because they didn't get along. So we moved in. He moved out. We moved in, and everything. And my mom had gotten hurt. She had fell at work and hurt a rotator cuff. So she was trying to help me, and we were getting through things. And it's like things went from worse, bad to worse at times. And a lot of it was due to his drinking, but a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
to his family and I would guess say his mom trying to control him too or whatever. And we lived in one apartment and I knew he was having an affair with the girl and I just couldn't prove it.
Mm.
So we left that apartment and it kind of just moved around the corner to another complex
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, it went from bad to worse and it kept getting worse and everything. And he complained that he couldn't work, his head hurt and everything. And I said, well, you're going to the doctor this time. And um, there was nothing wrong.
Mm.
Work. So I was working 2 jobs. And October 30th, so 1998, no, 97, um, I worked at GNC in the mall. And we were doing Halloween stuff and everything. And I come home and the girl and her son was over at my apartment.
Mm.
My kids were at my sister's house. Yeah, I know what's going on. So I called her husband and asked him, do you know where your wife is at?
Yeah.
He goes, well, and I said, he goes, well, she's at your place. I said, I'm at home. I said, I had to work. I'm at my sister's picking up my kids.
Yeah.
And he had a cow. So I was like, okay. So I got home and I told him, I said, when I'm not here, I don't want her here. He goes, well, that's not fair to me. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I got to choose between my wife and my best friend. I said, you just gave me your choice.
Mm.
So I was like, had been already been sleeping on the sofa and everything, and other things that he had said to me, and I was like done. Well, November 1st, I was off, and she happened to come over and everything, and was talking about the candy that everybody got, and her little boy had gone into my son's room and my oldest son was putting stuff away, and her son came in crying. Instead of listening to what he had said, he
Right.
was scared. My ex took it as our son almost hit him or whatever. And by the time I got into the hallway, he had his fist up, getting ready to punch him in the head. I said, "No, you're not. I'm done."
Mm.
I told the boys, grab what you can. I grabbed what I can. And in between all this different times and everything, he had abused me. He had his hands around my neck at one time in our kitchen. And
Wow.
both my sons saw it. And within arm's reach this way and arm's reach this way. The phone was to my right and the cast iron pan to my left. And I couldn't reach neither one of them.
Mm.
And he was drunk and everything. And I finally told him if he didn't let go, I was going to step on his toes or, he let
Yeah.
go. And of course, the next day he didn't remember
Yeah.
because when the night I was leaving, he tried to do the same thing. And I was like, I say, if you try to do this again, the police are going to be here. And
Mm-hmm.
he went and yanked the phone out of the wall and everything because I had already called the police on him at one time because I had to go to the neighbor's house because the phone had been disconnected and because he said he was going to kill himself and everything. And I was just like, no, I can't do this anymore. So November 1st, we left and went to my parents' house, and that was a Saturday. The Sunday I worked at GNC,
Mm-hmm.
my boys told the whole story. So they go, "You're not going back." I was like, "Well, I'm not
Yeah.
going back." But it was a messy divorce. Um, his mom and him tried all kinds of stuff. They tried to pick up the boys from school and everything, and of course, they knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I went to go get him to pay child support, his mom would go down to the magistrate because in Virginia, you don't have to have proof that somebody's doing something to you. You just go down to the magistrate's office, fill out a form, and you can lie through your teeth, and they'll, you know, make a warrant out for somebody.
Huh.
So I was just like, that was a fight. I tell you, back and forth, that was a fight. And I was like, the first couple of times, it was, I walked in, talked to the magistrate. They knew her reputation and everything. And it's like, you poor thing, we feel sorry for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. What you doing, baby girl? All right, hurry up. Did you get it? All right. So the last time that happened, I went find the magistrate, told him exactly what was going on. It was a divorce, it's a bad divorce, who she was, and he looked at me, he goes, I don't care. Kind of found out that magistrate didn't like women at all. I'm just
Yeah.
like, what?
Okay.
So yes, I was handcuffed and fingerprint, and I'm like telling this sheriff, like, don't take me all the way back because I'm great, by the time you get me back there, whatever, I'm gonna be out of here. And she goes, well, you gotta keep on going.
Oh well.
Oh, it's like, it's so funny because all these people, were like, what are you doing in here? And I was like, because there was people I knew
Mm-hmm.
that worked in the sheriff's office and everything, and all I had to do was say her name, and like they would just shake their head like, oh my gosh, not her again. Like, yes. So when the divorce finished in December of 98, the judge told her to leave me alone
Mm.
because, what happened between me and her son, she had no business putting her nose in
Yeah.
everything. But she didn't. She never would leave me alone. And I was like, I would try, I left and would just try to go on with my life, and she was just always always doing something.
Right.
So that was in 98, 99. In 2000, we were going to church, and someone had sit there and said something about, well, somebody works at a Christian college, their kids go to school for free.
Hmm.
Like, it's a bright idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So we all supported by James University.
Hmm.
So I contacted them and looked into it and everything else. And they had an opening and went down there and interviewed for it, got the job and everything. So in 2001, we moved down there. But in the meantime, um, in 2000, I finally said I want to do what I want to do. And I went and got my EMT certification.
Oh wow.
So I did volunteered and I also worked in the paid service later on. But
Hmm.
I loved it. That was the best, I think, the best thing I ever did for myself was to go do what I had wanted to do.
Hmm.
I always wanted to be a cop, firefighter, or EMT. So I got to at least do the EMT, and I did
Yeah.
security also in 98, 99, and
Okay.
2000. And, you know, met a lot of great people, saw a lot of different stuff. Um, did that, and then we moved to South Carolina, and I worked at James University. And I'm gonna tell you that I think that was the looking back, I can say that was the worst decision ever
Oh yeah.
because I was healthy and everything. When I moved down there, my health would just went
Wow.
down,
Huh.
and
Why do you
because
think that is?
because you think being at a Christian college, the people would act better than the people in the world, and they didn't.
Hmm.
The I was supposed to work in public safety, and the girl realized that the only other position that she could be transferred to was working in the dining hall. And
Hmm.
she didn't like the people who worked in the dining hall and the cooking area and everything else. So she wanted to keep her position. So I had already moved, got transferred from one um, apartment complex who owned an apartment complex down there,
Hmm.
moved everything and all. And I'm like, I'm stuck.
Hmm.
So I, uh, I was like, all right, fine, I'll make the best of it. So we stayed there and everything. And then my oldest son had a situation in 2001 because this was like towards the end of the school year. And um, they had called me up at work, and I was like, well, just spank them and tell them, I'll talk to them later. Well, I didn't know their spanking is a little bit totally different than we would think of. They
Hmm.
had a paddle, and it was not a paddle. It was I don't know how you would call it, but he said that thing was 12 inches long and 2 inches thick
Wow.
that they would spank the kids with. And it left a mark on the back of his leg. And because we got home and I talked to him about what he said and he called the person. And I was like, you know what that means? He goes, no, I don't know what it means. So I had to explain to him. And he goes, Mom, my leg really hurts. And when he pulled down his pants, I freaked because we had already told his principal. My
Hmm.
kids had been through a lot. They were abused and things that no child should have gone through.
Yeah.
And because their pediatrician said at the time, and she'd been in practice for 30 years, that was the worst child abuse case she had ever seen.
Hmm.
And we had to go through therapy and everything, which she suggested and everything before the court's order, go to therapy, get all this done and everything, it'll look better on you.
Hmm.
And yes, my kids and I have been diagnosed with PTSD because of the abuse that
Yeah.
they went through and I went through. And I'm like, okay, so I'm determined that is not going to overtake me. I am not going to let this, that's not going to be my label. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to get on with my life.
Right.
But so, and we told that principal, you know, this is what they've been through. You've got to be, he shouldn't have been a principal in the first place. But they brought me because when I found out on my son, I made a police report because I was like, no, that's wrong. I don't care if you're a Christian school, what kind of school you are, you do not hit a kid like that with
Mm-hmm.
a paddle like that. And you leave a mark that is 6 inches long and 4 inches wide on a kid. That's abuse.
Yeah.
So my boss and his boss have set me down. He goes, do you know what you did? I'm like, I know what I did. Do y'all know what y'all did? And we went back and forth, and then they finally went, oh, so us saying our kids like that all that time they were growing up was abuse? I said, yeah, it was. I said, y'all should know better.
Mm-hmm.
So that summer, I went and got another job. I left the school, and it was just, it was like one thing after another. And then well, let me take that back. 9/11 happened because I was still working at Bob Jones when 9/11 happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we got to the school and everything. We already know what happened and everything. I saw Tower 2 go down. And I'm
Mm.
yelling at the TV to the firefighters, go back, go back. And that
Yeah.
just went all through me because I had dated a firefighter from New York for a little while. And I knew he was there. I knew he went in there and he did. And they couldn't find him for a month. And when
Mm.
I finally got hold of somebody in his family, they were getting me make funeral plans for him. And
Mm-hmm.
he was in a hospital in New Jersey.
Mm.
So and everything, but he was never the same after that at all. And I was
Right.
like, that was sad because you know you go in there to help, and then you're the one that's hurt.
Yeah.
So yes, ma'am. What you need? You need to get something. Okay. Watch out because the camera's on. She loves dresses, as if
Mm-hmm.
you can tell.
Yeah.
She is a dress and a skirt girl. She
That's
does
it.
not like wearing pants because she said it makes her hot.
Yeah. They do make you hot. I like to wear a dress when it's hot outside. If I'm going somewhere that's worth wearing a dress. Otherwise, I got shorts on all the time.
Oh
So,
yeah, definitely.
hey
But
guys, in the chat, if you want to share your link to your channel, please feel free to just type in love, LOVE, and it will share your link.
you almost finished. And she does not know a lot of this stuff.
Hmm.
I'm saying.
Totally understand.
Maybe one day, but
Yeah. Yep. When they're much
hey
older.
girl, hold on for a minute.
Hmm. There you go, Barry.
They're playing Nerf guns and she just
Hmm.
close the door, baby. Hold on.
it's going good. I slept in. Did you sleep in last night, or did you fall asleep on us, Barry, last night?
Trying to toughen her up and everything. So we got
Mm-hmm.
Nerf guns and everything. She's a bow and arrow girl. But all
Yes,
right.
they are. Barry's like, kids are so much fun. Yes, they are.
Yes. Yeah. So it says that 9/11 happened, and I was when I finally found his family, his cousin was messaging me back and forth, and I found out that he was missing. I always started crying, and my boss goes, "If you can't get yourself together, you can go home." I said, "If you send me home, I'm going back to Virginia, and then I'm going to New York to help out."
Mm-hmm.
And then they, "Oh, no, 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 just go where the girls are and get yourself calmed down." I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Well, what do you want? Do you want me here? You not want me here?"
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I did eventually leave Bob Jones University because I was like, it was more mental abuse with them than it was anything else. And I was just like, one of these kids don't know what to do when they leave here and go out in the world because the way y'all treat them
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and nobody lets you get near Dr. Bob Sr. at the time to let him know what's going on or anything because they didn't want him to know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I left there and then, just met people that didn't have my best interest and
Oh, okay.
everything. And I was like, all right. And then, all right, let me back up. So in September, all right, let me back up because my mom was in a car accident before 9/11, and
Mm-hmm.
and she died twice in the ambulance going to the hospital. And because I was still working at Bob Jones when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
With my mom in the car accident, and they really didn't think she was gonna make it, but, her head was split from her ear all the way up to here, and it took 400 stitches from the inside out to sew her back up, and, yeah, she was never the same. It took her a long time with therapy and everything,
Mm-hmm.
um, to get back to where she could drive a car and stuff, and she had to learn a lot of stuff all over again,
Yeah.
but we had gone to visit for a few days and walked in the hospital and she asked me what was I doing there and I was like, "Come to see you." And she didn't remember the accident or nothing.
Yeah.
And my sisters, couldn't understand because we saw the car. The guy had ran a stop sign and hit her van. Her sister was coming home from church
Mm-hmm.
and they ran the stop sign and it was raining and it spun the van, it hit the ditch and landed the person's yard. If it had not been raining to where the car just slid in the mud, that her van would have gone into the person's house.
Mm.
So that was a blessing there that nobody else was hurt.
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain to them from my EMT side, take a melon, a cantaloupe, a personal sized watermelon, and you drop it on the floor, what's going to happen? It's going to split.
Yeah.
So what happened was because the console in the middle and everything was still intact. When they hit, because they hit from the side, she went from one side to like this. So her head hit the door frame.
Yeah.
Because I was like, the seat belt's not going to really catch you that way. And so trying to explain that to my sisters, they just still didn't get it. But
Right.
yeah, now they've come out with side airbags on cars and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
back in 2000, that wasn't there.
Right.
So, and then when she got hurt, and um, then we had 9/11, and then it was all the stuff, the shooting. We had that highway shooter in Virginia,
Yeah.
and I was just
Yeah.
like,
That was crazy.
that was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, do we, what do you do?
Mhm.
And nobody wanted to go anywhere, but I'm glad they finally caught him.
Yeah.
And so left Bob Jones, made some bad decisions, got mixed up with people that I thought was helping me, really wasn't helping me. My oldest son, we lived in end up in a trailer, and he didn't like the guy telling him that he needed to listen to his mom. There was
Mhm.
no abuse there. He just didn't like people telling him that he needed to listen to me,
Mhm.
because somehow or another he got in here that he was, and this was my family. He was the head of the household, and I was supposed to listen to what he had to say and everything. I was like, no,
Right.
ain't no king in this house. There's only a queen, and y'all gonna listen to me. So he ended up going to school saying that uh, my mom's boyfriend got after him and all that stuff, and he got taken out of the house. And I was just like, that was a mess.
Mhm.
So finally, after a couple months, a month or so, um, my stuff, they had him in therapy again, and then all that stemmed from the abuse that we had already gone through.
Mhm.
So he did not have a healthy attitude towards men older, men in general.
Yeah.
And
That's what happened to my kids too. Is they didn't have a healthy respect for a lot of men. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
my dad came down and stayed with us and helped me out and everything. And finally, when it was time to go to court, they were trying to sit there and say that I had to give up my EMT and I couldn't help work with children or anything else. And, it was child neglect. I'm like, wait a minute here. I already tried to go through y'all system to get child support from my ex-husband who sit there and did all this other stuff to my kids. And I told them what y'all, told them what happened. Y'all supposed to be helping us out. I'm like, no, I'm not going
Mhm.
to agree to that. I said, when you go after my ex-husband for the abuse that he did to them, and yes, both my sons were molested. Mm,
Mhm.
they did because they're not upstairs.
Yeah.
And go after him for that, and we can sit down and have a little chat. And I said, don't think I'm going to be quiet when the judge asks me what's going on because I'm going to tell him. It was a
Mhm.
lady judge too. And we got back in the courtroom and they decided we're dropping all charges and we're dropping all of it because they knew I was right. And I was like, you're going to come after me for something that really didn't happen, but yet the person who really did all the stuff, y'all let just, hunky dory, just let him go
Mhm.
do whatever he wants to do to somebody else.
Right.
So, in August of 2003, we moved back to Virginia. Um, and I got a job in Charlottesville working on a rescue squad. And then that just took a toll because I had to be up at 4 o'clock, meet one of the other guys that lived in the area. We drive an hour away to go to work. And sometimes, we work 12-hour shifts and everything, and then get home, have like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and get up and do it the same thing the next day. And I was
Right.
like, I just can't, I couldn't do it that much. So I went back and volunteered at the rescue squad again.
Mhm.
And I did work for Richmond Ambulance Authority for a little bit. And that just wasn't working out either because my oldest son was just doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. And I
Yeah.
was like, I can't, no, this is not going to work. So then I had, odds and end jobs and everything. Still volunteered at the rescue squad for a couple of years until they got into politics. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm here to run, to help people and everything. And someone got jealous because I had a nice rapport with the county fire department.
Mhm.
We're there to do the same job. whether you're paid or if you were volunteer, and they got jealous because everybody liked me and everybody from it was Chesterfield County, and
Yeah.
I'm sure those ones are retired by now, but they always come and ask me, "When you come over to our side, come over to our side." I was like, "But I don't have to be a firefighter, and I can just go be an EMT on the rescue squad." I was like, "Well, you still have to be a firefighter first." I said, "I tried that and didn't work, so
Mm.
okay." And so I just left. I left that, and you know, being a single parent, there was times I worked 3 or 4 jobs just to make sure that we didn't live in the bad area of town. Because
Right.
I was determined, no, we didn't live in a bad area of town growing up. I'm not gonna live in a bad, like, from bad to worse,
Right.
because by the time my kids are in their teens, when my parents' house is that area had gotten to where it was a lot of crime, but it didn't seem like it was. Like, one side of the railroad tracks is bad and the other side is not.
Right.
How it was. And then, I went I got a job working with my sister at, um, her company where she was working at, and ended
Mm-hmm.
up catching one of the people in their office stealing money,
Oh
and
no.
yeah, and I had already gone and got my, because when I went back, I got my PI license, and I had my security officers, armed and unarmed, and I had gotten my bail bonds,
Right.
and was doing all that, and that's what I had wanted to do. So, um, I that company, it was a big mess in that office and everything, and everybody was interviewed, and I was like, and, um, I'll tell you what I know and what happened. I figured out she was, stealing. They found out she had stole $30,000 from the company
Wow.
all the years she had been there, and it was because her son was in trouble. But I was just like, they were trying to blame me for it and everything, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, not the new girl. I don't think so." So, in 2006, I had opened up with somebody else, a PI business,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it really didn't do that like I thought it would. But um, come to find out, the whole time my family was still talking to my ex husband
Yeah.
because I could not figure out how in the world he knew where I was at, what I was doing, and everything else, and they were telling him everything,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, wonderful." I did
Yeah.
have a company that I worked for, um, out of Maryland, because I had to go up there for an interview, and I was making good money. I was making really good money, and had to give that up because of my family and what they did. Um, they made sure that I lost my van that I had because I wasn't getting work and they wouldn't help me with the payments.
Hmm.
So my brother and the guy that he was living with at the time, thought it'd be really cool getting me an old Grand Marquis car, white,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
I look like a cop. I was like, "That's really smart, because that's not what a PI is supposed to drive to make them, stand out
Yeah.
or anything." But come to find out, with that car, there was a hole in the muffler, and the guy was supposed to fix it, but he didn't.
Mm.
And um, we had to go. I had to take the kids to the pediatrician because something was wrong. We weren't feeling right and everything, and we were getting carbon monoxide poisoning
Oh wow.
within the car. So I was like, okay, that's wonderful. That's just what I really wanted to hear. And then my sister, we were living with my parents, and we had an argument, and my sister come out flat out and said their plan was for us to be in that car, have an accident, and for us to be killed.
Mm.
So my sisters, my brother, and my dad had all plotted to. I'm like, "Hey, do y'all realize that murder on charges, can never go away if
Yeah.
I wanted to choose to do that?" And I didn't. I was like, "I'm done with y'all." And I was like, that sealed the nail in the coffin, if you want to, so to speak, to know that I was adopted. And always knew since I was like 10 or 11, I was like, I am not of this family. I knew I
Mhm.
was adopted. I knew. I just knew.
Mhm.
So we moved out of the house. I got a job working for another ambulance company, and I'm stealing stuff and everything. So they try to say things. I was like, I'm done. Y'all can just, if y'all want to try to steal mulch from the people next door, you go right ahead, but I'm not going to be involved with that.
Mhm.
And I went and picked up the last check I had from that company, and I fell and got hurt at the bank. And I fell on my right side, and I was like, I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. And so I went to the doctor and ended up having to sue the bank because they saw what happened and they just let me sit there and didn't help me at all.
Mm.
And in that apartment we lost because of being hurt and everything. And my
Yeah.
son, also, he had a job at Kroger, but by the time he got a job there, it was kind of too late for the apartment we were in. And
Yeah.
then it was just like one thing after another. So we
Mm.
got an apartment in his name, and we moved some into that one.
Mm.
And it just seems like every time I try to move forward when I was in Virginia, you always got back knocked down, go 2 spaces and get knocked down
Yeah.
back three. But I was just like, okay, well, we had already thought about moving out of state again because now my kids are like 18 and 16, and I'm just like, so we had thought about going to like Massachusetts. We looked at everywhere.
Mhm.
And my oldest son, had found a friend in Missouri, and it was a little girl that he liked in second grade.
Mhm.
So we went there and visited, and we decided that we liked the state and everything else. And then, so by this time, I was working for Papa John's, and I could transfer from one Papa John's to another Papa John's. And
Nice.
so that's what we did, and we moved to Missouri. And um, we were working there. He transferred from Kroger to Dillon's and everything. And then within a month, he lost his job. I don't know what happened. He didn't want to tell me what happened.
Mm.
And then we went and talked to his boss and everything. And it was actually something he didn't even do that somebody else did, and he got blamed for.
Mm.
So, um, we lived in a motel for a couple of months and everything. And, just, always living paycheck to paycheck, week to
Yeah.
week. And finally got a better job working for customer service place that did customer service for different companies.
Mhm.
And that was in 2009. And we had that bad snowstorm come that year at Christmas time.
Mm.
And so between all that time and now, between the slip and falls, the car accidents I've had, and just getting hurt in general,
Mhm.
and went to go out to my car to deliver pizza, and the sidewalk had iced over again, and down I went. And all I could think was, "Oh my God, not again!" And I, there was I couldn't catch myself or nothing, and went slammed on that sidewalk. And I got up, and I was like, they had me do the pizza. I'll deliver this one. And when I got back, I told them, the manager. I was like, mm-mm, something's wrong. I said, I can't move.
Mm.
So and that was, again, here we go with
Yeah.
trying to survive and um, workman's comp and everything, trying to get that to kick in and everything, and then go to disability. And this one doctor, he actually, he wanted to see how far I could bend over, and I went, and I knew how far I couldn't go. I know I couldn't reach the floor. And he put his hand on my back and pushed me down. And I looked at him and I said, "What in the world are you doing?"
Mm.
Because he was for, I guess he was for Papa John's and stuff for me. And
Yeah.
but I had a good attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And the second disability doctor that I was supposed to go see, after all the medical records he had of me, because when I was got hurt in Virginia from that slip and fall,
Yeah.
I had to go to the doctor and they did X-rays and um, they did X-rays hips and everything. And the doctor, ER doctor, goes, "You have degenerative disc disease in your hips." She goes, "And you've had it for a very long time." I said, "Don't." She goes, "Don't ask me to tell you how long, because I can't tell you." She goes, "But you've had it for a very long time." I was like, "Oh, no wonder my hips hurt so bad."
Mm-hmm.
That was another reason why I stopped with doing my EMT, because me and the driver had gone to pick up a patient, and we were coming out of the house, and it's just the two of us, and
Yeah.
I got, I got to grab the stretcher, and I couldn't. I almost dropped the patient. I was like, I said, "Something's wrong. I'm not going to sit there and put a patient in harm's way."
Right.
So, um, with that, and I was like, okay, so I already knew that was going on. Um, Back up on the medical in 2002, when I did work at Bob Jones, that had some decent health insurance, and I went to the doctor, and I was like, I asked her, I said, "All these symptoms, I think I know what it is." And she goes, "What do you think it is?" I said, "Fibromyalgia." She goes, "Yep, you sure do have it." And she did the test and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
was diagnosed with that. So um, when I got hurt in Virginia before we moved to Missouri, my doctor there, and so he verified. So that was a second diagnosis for
Mm-hmm.
fibromyalgia. He verified all the stuff and everything. And they thought because of me being heavy set, I would have diabetes and all this other stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "No, I don't." I said, "I will not have that." So I'm sitting there waiting for, you know, disability to do whatever it needs to do. And March 10th of 2010, I went to Pop's John. I went to work,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a new assistant manager. I was like, "Listen, this is what happened. I can't stand up and everything." He goes, "Well, your car insurance has gone out." I said, "No, it hasn't. I just don't have the new card from the new insurance company." He goes, "Well, you can't do any delivery until the manager gets back." I said, "Well, what is he getting back?" And they said, they don't know, because he was at the airport. So this guy made me stand and make pizzas. And after that, I was on the floor crawling. My back had just seized up
Mm-hmm.
so much. And so when the manager got back, he looked at me. He goes, "What are you, the world, doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in the car, delivering?" And I told him, his name was Mark, what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He took that guy into the freezer, and I could hear him yelling at him. He goes, "Do you know she can see the crap out of us now because of you, what you just did?" I thought
Oh
to
wow.
myself, "I already am." So I was like, I was done. And then the customer service job I had, I lost that because I couldn't walk
Right.
from to get to the car to do anything. So I did. I was in a wheelchair for about a year
Wow.
because I just my back was not able to support me or anything, and walking was just like, uh, and I'm still that way. And I'll get to
Mhm.
y'all, get to this here in a minute. So, I was able to find a place in Missouri that helped people who were disabled to get them a wheelchair and shower chair and all that. And then as a disability did come through, I was improved in June of 2010, but I didn't start getting my money till August of 2010.
Right.
So in the meantime, with all that going on and everything, I went back to college, went back to school, and I got my CSI certification and I got my associate's degree in criminal justice.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, even if I cannot use it, I know the Lord blessed in that way because we got a stipend check
Mm.
each month to help with expenses. And if it hadn't been for that check, and my son Wesley, I call him Chase. I always called him by his middle name. He went to school too. If it wasn't because of his stipend check and my stipend check, would have been on the street. So I can see the Lord protected us that way in so
Yeah.
many things. And then we had paid rent at the apartment we had lived in, and the lady came back and said, "I don't have your check." I'm like, "Yes, you do because it's been cashed."
Mm.
And she was trying to say that they didn't get the money and this, that, and the other. So I started doing some research, and should not have been working there at all. So that was a fight back and forth with the apartment complex and everything. And I went to court, and I had all the information. And every time I went to go tell the judge what was going on and everything else, say, "Lord, speak up, we dismissed us, dismissed us." And I was
Mhm.
like, "You better take it off the court records that I paid all this, or you better put it that I paid." So we had got we got a townhouse, and things were going good. You know,
Mhm.
that was something I could afford and still pay rent because that
Yeah.
was 2011, and you know, 800 some dollars don't go very far.
Yeah.
At the,
Yeah.
but we lived in Missouri at that time. Housing and apartments wasn't that expensive,
Yeah.
so I calculated things out and everything, and to where we could pay rent and electric and gas and still have stuff. And of course, you know, food stamps because or even SNAP benefits. I can't
Right.
work and my kids are having a hard time finding a job. So yes, been getting help. So that's when all the coupons were going on, the
Mm.
coupon shows and everything. So I did do all that because we loved. Now here's Springfield, Missouri. Here's Nixa, and there's Oklahoma, and everything.
Mhm.
And we were in that when the townhouse when the tornado came through Nixa and everything. That was coming straight for us
Mm.
because they already hit
Scary.
Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma when it hit
Mhm.
them really bad, and then it hit Nixa, and it was coming straight for Springfield. And it just happened to be Springfield's on an elevation up on the mountain.
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
it came across, it hit that mountain and went down.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. But I was like, I've always been that way growing up. My grandparents lived through the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so then my mom and dad and all, so we were always had a garden and put stuff to the side and canned and everything.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with the coupons. And just so happened one night I was sitting there and I was wondering, I wonder if I could find a guy that from high school. Sure enough, I found him.
Mhm.
He was married and he said he was not happy with his marriage and they were having problems. And he has a daughter. And I was like, okay, that's cool and everything. And we talked. And that was July of 2012. And 2 days later, him and his daughter were at my front door.
Oh no.
Because he goes, I got to get away from her. He goes, she's abusive, this, that, and other. His daughter verified what, oh my gosh, the stories that would
Yeah.
make your hair stand up one end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so it was so funny because they walked to the door and I got up and hugged him, and Jessica will tell you now, she goes, when I saw Wesley, she goes, my
Yep.
heart was gone. She goes, I just knew that's who it was.
Oh no.
So, um, things were all right for a little bit, and I just had a feeling something wasn't right, and it was just I was like, well, him and his daughter didn't have a great relationship. Her story is it's just I'm telling you, the Lord saved her so many times
Yeah.
from her abusive mother that yeah, that has a special thing on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I try. It's like, well, they don't haven't had a great relationship. I was trying to keep everybody together and everything.
Right.
I started a security company in Missouri. That went okay for a little while, and then people got jealous. I don't know what was going on, but I was just like, you start getting harassed by the cops and everything for stuff that I wasn't even doing or stuff we weren't even doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay, I'm done. Um, Before this even gets nastier than what it was and everything.
Yeah.
So we we need to figure out something else. So I talked to um, Jessica and Chase because had already planned on getting married and they had fallen in love and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, and at the time, the other Democrat was in office,
Mm-hmm.
and where we worked, there was um, the train tracks were right across from where we worked,
Yeah.
and the stuff we saw on those railroad tracks and everything, it's like, yeah, they're planning something bad because we saw the UN symbol on a lot of military stuff,
Mm.
and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah.
Something's planning, and I'm like, we better get prepared.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2012. So yeah, we already know they got.
Yeah.
I hope we just don't get dinged for that. But yeah, they've been planning stuff for years. So
Yeah.
um, they got married March 11th of 2012, and uh, she comes to me like a month after, or a month or so after they're married and everything, and she goes, "I need your help." I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "I think I'm pregnant." So sure enough, she
Yeah.
was, and it was just so funny because they thought I was gonna get mad. I was so happy, but her dad, boy, he looked because it was his birthday and everything. They
Mm-hmm.
gave him a card about saying "Happy Birthday, Granddad" and everything.
Mm-hmm.
He got up and he looked at my son and pointed at him. He goes, "I'm gonna kill you." I looked at him. I said, "You harm a hair on his head." I said, "I'm gonna hurt you instead." I was like, "You ought to be happy." He goes, "Well, I said I was never going to be a granddad until I was dead." So I guess you're dead then. So with the, and then it's like all the stuff with the security company and being harassed by the cops for stuff that wasn't even being done, and I was like, and it's always been that way. I know good cops, but I always, always, no matter what, I always come across the bad ones.
Mm.
And I'm gonna tell y'all now, Tasha, nothing against you or anything, because I know some good ones out there. But they will lie to you through their teeth to get you to say something that they will use against you.
Mm.
So my advice, I've been on both sides of the law. And I'm going to tell you now, if a cop ever stops you, you don't have to answer any of their questions. If they take you and they put you in cuffs and want to interview you or whatever you do, you tell them you want an attorney,
Mm-hmm.
because all they're doing is looking and sifting and searching and trying to see what they can find. They've got no evidence about nothing. And so what they try and do is get evidence.
Yeah.
And if you say something, they're going to use it against you.
Yeah.
With that, I was like done with, Missouri and everything. So we had thought about Florida and we had thought about Ohio. And since
Well,
my,
that's an extreme of a difference
oh,
as far
yeah.
as.
And I was like, I just didn't want to be in the heat because I can't
Mm-hmm.
handle the heat because my
Mm,
fibromyalgia is flares up in the heat and
mm,
goes in remission in the cold.
mm.
So his mom was buried here in Ohio, so he wanted to come back to Ohio. So we came back to Ohio, and in 2013, that was May of 2013. So we came back to Ohio. And here's the funny thing, it was snowing in Missouri the day we left. In
Mm.
May of 2013, it was snowing in Missouri.
Funny.
Oh my gosh. So we left and we came here in October. We found a place and everything. In October of 2013, we were in a bad car accident.
Oh boy.
And we were going to go pick up my son from um, work. And I had the green light, and the girl, she was turning, but she had to stop. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I got close enough, she just darted right out in front of me. And I slammed on brakes, but it just did not. We hit her, and we hit her so hard that we bounced off of her twice
Hi,
and
Chuck.
spun her around. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Jessica was 7 months pregnant with
Mm.
Anastasia. So I'm just like gripping the steering wheel. He couldn't get out his door. That was her father that was with us.
Right.
And that was just, I was like, oh my gosh, my back, again, here we go again with my back. And so when the I'll get to this part too. The firefighters and all got there. They say you can let go of the steering wheel. Everything's okay. I was like, because where we were stopped at, it was a gas station. You know how they have the big signs or the big pole and everything, and that's what I'm facing. I was like, I can't hit that pole. It's
Yeah.
like I can't hit that pole. So they finally got me out, and they say, what medicine you're allergic to and everything. Like all narcotics. I cannot have any narcotics at all. They go, why? I was like, because my heart will stop. And they
Mm-hmm.
go, what do you mean? I'm like, okay. So I'll back up a little bit. When I was in Virginia, I got my bail bonds license,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my own company. And because I was determined to have my own company, but anyway, I was looking for someone that had bailed out that owed me some money, and I had my grandfather's 22 revolver. Now, this is 2007. That gun was already 80 years old.
Mm.
So, but it was kept clean and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an inside holster because I was waiting for I had a Versa 380 that I had purchased, and I was just waiting for it to come in. So we go to Wawa's. We have sheets and
Mm-hmm.
Wawa's. So we went there, went to the bathroom, pulled my pants up, and the gun fell. I was like, wonderful. It hits the floor, does nothing, but it bounces. And when it bounces back, it back. So we still don't understand how the bullet came out of the chamber this way
Mm-hmm.
instead of going through. But that's the Lord's protection, because I went from, if anybody knows bullets, you went from full metal jacket to hollow points. And I had just
Mm-hmm.
put hollow points in my gun.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, oh no. And I jumped up like this to cover my head because I was like, I don't want to get, shot.
Yeah.
Uh, the bullet did get me, but it got me in my leg. It went
Yeah.
in behind my right knee and out my leg. And I was like, and it felt like someone had just hit me in the back of my leg. And I looked
Mhm.
down and see all this blood. I'm like, crud. So I opened the bathroom door and I told my sons they need to call 911. This is the person you need to call. You need them to get here so that they can drive our van, to wherever it needs to go and everything. And the girl that worked there, she goes, I took first aid. I know what to do. I know what to do. And I'm thinking, couldn't say I was an EMT
Mhm.
because I was trying not to let myself go into shock.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I sat down like, I'm going to pass out. I
Mhm.
remember the fire department getting there, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything else until he woke me up in the back of the ambulance, and he goes, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey." He looked at me. He goes, "I know you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know you." He goes, "From where?" I said, and I gave him the rescue squad name. He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll take good care of you." And at that point in time, they had just started where they were charging people for riding in the ambulance.
Mhm.
All right. Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to cut your jeans. I'm like, that's fine. Do what you need to do.
Yeah.
So we had gotten to the hospital and seeing people that I knew and everything. We were laughing and joking about it and everything. And they're like, don't do anything. We're not gonna give you anything till we have an x-ray. It's like, okay. And it was a clean through and through. When it went out of the, that they said it had been like a hair to the right. They said I wouldn't have had my right leg at all.
Mm.
I was like, well, that's the Lord protecting me there because He knew where that would need to go.
Yeah.
So they asked me, they go, well, do you need anything for pain? I'm like, what can you? I said, I can't have morphine, Vicodin, or codeine. And they go, wow. I
Mhm.
said, because I go into cardiac arrest. I said,
Mhm.
all right. I said, so I've had 2 Percocets before, and I've done all right with that. They give me 2 Percocets. So, and then by this time, my business partner and Chase was in the ER room with me, and I was so hungry they brought me Burger King, and I'm eating and everything. And I'm like, I don't feel good. They go, I said, I think I'm gonna get sick. And Chase goes, Mom, you went from fire engine red to white as a ghost, and I went. He said he watched the numbers go from 70, 50, 30, flatline.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I didn't even know that I passed out. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I didn't know what was going on because nothing. I was like, next thing I know, I'm hearing somebody yelling in my ear. And I'm like, why are you waking me up from this dream? And
Mhm.
what I was in, I was with an FBI agent because we had caught these bounty hunters with fake badges of, I think, every agency you could think of.
Mhm.
And I'm with him, and I'm like, we're chasing him, chasing these guys into the woods. And all of a sudden, it's black. In pitch black. You can't see nothing in front of you. You can't see your hand in front of you. The only light we had was a helicopter with the light shining down so we could see where we were going.
Mhm.
And the 2 guys are down deep in the woods, and they're taunting me, saying, "You can't catch me," all this stuff and everything. And I look at the FBI agent, I'm like, "Let me go with you. I can help you find them in there." And he turns around and looks me dead in the face and goes, like, "I'm gonna look at you right now." He goes,
Mhm.
"No, you are needed out there more than I need you in here. Go back."
Mm.
And when he sat there and said that, that's when I heard the person yelling in my ear and
Mm.
somebody was on my chest. And
Mm.
when I woke up, there was 12 people around my bed.
Mm.
And I'm like, "What's going on?" And the nurse goes, "I can't tell you." So after because the doctor goes, "All right, that's good. She's coming around. She's coming out. We've got her heartbeat back and everything."
Mhm.
And I knew then, I was like, something bad happened.
Mhm.
And they finally let my kids come back in there, and Chase is in there crying. He goes, Mom, you died. I'm like, no, I didn't. He goes, yes, you did. I'm like, no, I didn't. I was dreaming. And they had to show me the strip. I was gone for a minute and a half.
Wow.
And he was 14 at the time. He goes, don't ever do that to me again.
Mm.
I was like, I didn't want to die in the first place. So after they cut me overnight, and my heart was fine and everything, and the doctor said, never again. She goes, you can never have any more medicinal, whatever it's medicinal or prescription narcotics, nothing. She goes, your heart will not be able to take it.
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay. So back up to now. Every time I've gone to the hospital, we were in that car accident. I'm like, yeah, make sure I cannot have this type of medicine. They go, why? I said, because my heart will stop. And I've already died once. I really don't feel like doing it again.
Yeah.
So Anastasia was born November 3rd, 2013. And she had her natural, but they also found out that Jessica had an ovarian cyst that nobody ever knew that she had.
Mhm.
As the baby Anastasia grew, the cyst grew. And we
Mhm.
thought sure she was having twins or triplets, but it was
Yeah.
a cyst.
Yeah.
And she has a picture of it. And but I'm telling you, the Lord protected us because that cyst could have burst in that car
Yeah.
accident. And
And
both of them
it
been dead.
yeah.
And so a month after, oh no, a couple weeks after Anastasia was born, she was back in the hospital right around Thanksgiving, and they had to take that cyst out. It was as big as a bowling ball.
Wow.
And the doctor that took it out came, and he goes, we had to take a picture of it. And so he showed me the picture, and he goes, we just don't know
Hey,
how
Fritz and jars.
she survived that. I said, because the Lord did that.
Yeah.
I said, the Lord protected her and that
Well, it's
baby.
amazing that the baby came out fine because usually it makes the baby miscarriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only thing that Anastasia has is she's allergic to dairy.
Yeah.
She is. But see, they also gave her Jessica a steroid shot when she was like 6 months pregnant. The doctors, they wanted her to have a shot. And we think that may have helped also um help not have her miscarriage or whatever. But we had been walking around couponing all day long, and by the time we got home and we had picked up Chase from work, she goes, she had started having pain. She had been pain in labor all day long, and we didn't even know it.
Mhm.
But yeah, she had Anastasia natural, and then 2 weeks later they had to go take that cyst out. So they tested it for whether it was cancer and all kinds of
Mhm.
stuff, and they said, but it wasn't cancer or nothing. It was just an ovarian cyst that grew with the baby.
Yeah.
So um, changing what we had to eat and everything was fine. Ended up that um, I caught, which was her dad, him and I were supposed to be together, but finally got all the stuff that cheating on me and everything, and finally was able to get enough nerve to say, you got to go,
Mhm.
because he was putting what he did to me and then put us in danger, and he knew Anastasia couldn't have any dairy and everything. And every time he turned around, he tried to give her like a Tootsie Roll or whatever. And I'm like, what is with you? Are you
Yeah.
that jealous of them having a life together and having, you got a granddaughter you should be happy about, but oh, no, 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 no. He was just so jealous and everything. So, but um, in March of 2017, I finally said that was enough. But the stuff that he had put me through and everything, I'd never like to sit there and admit. that I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, we're growing up in the 70s. You don't,
Yeah.
they don't talk about that. And you
You're
don't
not
talk,
even aware that you're depressed.
yeah, no,
So,
but that's a no. You didn't talk about getting, if you got pregnant outside of marriage, that shamed the family. And
yeah.
if you had any mental problems, you don't talk about that either because that
Mm-mm.
shames the family name
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And even though my mom found out that my great grandfather on her side, he was in a mental hospital back after the war, the Civil War, that was still a shameful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like things that families should talk about. They didn't, so people could understand what was going on. And so we moved to where we are now in 2018. And one we got because it has a basement. Because we still have tornadoes here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
There's been many times we've had the sirens go off and we've got that plan right in place. So we got, know what to do. But it's always in the middle of the night. I was like,
Mm.
come on. I'm tired of the middle of the
Yeah.
night stuff. So here, I've been in another car accident, hit rear ended and everything. But I was like, I didn't go to the hospital because I already knew, there's nothing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, the depression and everything, and I was like, then my hands. See, all this all start in 17. We had gone to the park and everything, and with the tech and everything, never thought putting those two together. So
Mm-hmm.
between what he did to me and the mental and the emotional, and then my hands, I was like, just really, I
Yeah.
really was really down on myself. And they tried. They was like, they mom, we tried to get you out of it. And did I get to a point that I didn't want to be here anymore? At times I did because it hurt so bad. And
Mm-hmm.
then not only emotionally and mentally, but physically, I hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just like, and they were working 6 days a week, and I'm taking care of Anastasia and home. We do
Mm-hmm.
K-12. So I was like, I'm like, wait a minute. I've never been this way. I've always been the one to sit there and like, hoorah, and get behind and let's go do it and get with
Yeah.
it, everything. And then here I am not physically able to do that anymore. And I'm just like, Lord, what is wrong with me? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it, I'm like, finally starting to come out of it a little bit. And then my back, 2020, I went to the doctor, why don't you start trying to do some mild exercises and see if we can get stuff going. And he did
Right.
blood work and everything. The only thing was my vitamin D has always been low. So I started doing some exercises in 2021. I was like, okay. And bending like this, and
Mm-hmm.
I could feel it catching. And I was like, and one day that was it. I was flat on my back for 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, this is not good. So in April of 2021, I went to the ER because we have a hospital like 3 blocks from us. And um, she wanted me to go to orthopedic and a surgeon then. I was like, no, no, I'm not going to have surgery. So when we got that stimulus check, I finally went back to my regular doctor because I was paying out of pocket. No, no, I'm not going
Yeah.
to have surgery. And so he goes, no, no surgery. You got arthritis in your hip. He goes, it's going to take you a long time to recover. So I was like, all right. So we took it one day at a time. I got
Mm-hmm.
through school and everything. And I was able to go sit outside with Anastasia. And she got me to walking. And we, walked for a bit and we kept, increasing every week. We were increased and everything. And only thing I can say about this part is I met a guy online. I did talk to him once, and it ended up, all I can say is he used me as like a mule for
Mm.
different things, and um, that's why I say just pray that my name gets cleared and no charges brought against me, because now I realize what he did, and it makes me look bad, even though it
Mm-hmm.
was him that was doing it, and he's a scammer.
Mm.
Just I guess he got into me and to where knowing my mental state and everything, and just used it to his
Mm.
advantage. And all I can say is, yes, be careful who you talk to, because even the real person will use these scammer situations to their advantage,
Yeah.
because they know the scammers are out there and everything. And a con artist is a con artist, whether it's somebody from whatever country or the actual person doing it. That's why they
Yeah.
call it the Ponzi scheme,
Yep.
because Ponzi did it. So yeah, just you know, it's a scary situation too, because you know, but every time I go to look at something, the Lord is like, let it go and let me take care of it. He goes, I am taking care of that. This is what I want you to do now. This is where I want you to focus at now. I want you to do your channel, because I was, I'm still on Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
my goodness, my Instagram, y'all know that because I did my he hacked my Instagram, he hacked my Facebook, and I was like all this other stuff. I'm like, the old saying, give somebody enough rope to hang their own selves.
Yeah.
So that's what the Lord, and I've learned that for so long, and like sometimes you forget, and like the Lord is like, Nancy, don't worry about that situation anymore. I want you to focus on this is what I want you to do. And I'm like, okay.
So what does he tell you to do?
Well, when I was 13, going to the mission field, and I was sitting there the other day, I was like, Lord, how am I going to go into the mission field now? I physically cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, what do you have in your hand? And I'm like, well, I got the computer and the phone. He goes, there you go. There's your mission field right there. Because
Mm-hmm.
I did get to the point to where all this freaking, all this stuff going on and everything the last few months, I was going to shut down my YouTube. I was going to shut down my Instagram. I was going to shut down everything and just go in seclusion, because I was just scared. I was petrified.
Yeah.
You know, I still am a little bit, but that fear. When you have that fear, and it overtakes your life, you
Yeah.
don't you
It
don't move.
makes you
You don't.
inactive. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't move. You don't go anywhere. You don't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm scared to walk outside. Scared who's following me, who's looking at me. Are they? What's this going on? And do I? Can I trust that person, or whatever? And I'm just like, I had gotten to it. Well, with my hands, I had stopped doing the channel and everything, and then I had started got back into doing the channel. And I was like, the Lord was like, you got to keep moving. And I did go to an attorney. I have an attorney now, and he looked at me. He goes, take a breath and go on with your life. This is the second time this guy has done it. He goes, and they will catch him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think I just need to hear that from somebody else besides my family,
Yeah. Yep.
that need to just go on. So,
Yep.
yes, that is still my prayer request. Y'all just pray that my name is cleared and no charges brought against me and the person is caught. I already know
Yeah.
who it is. I
Yeah.
can't say it, but I
Right.
already know who it is. So then I was like, all right. So after the attorney, because in the past year, we've been walking. I've lost some weight, but my back has just gotten worse. In May of uh, 25th, I was like, I looked at my son. I was like, I've got to go to the hospital. I was like, something's wrong because from my waist down, I start going numb. Like you've been sitting on the toilet for too long and you got to sit up, stand, your whole body's numb, or sitting, we call it the Indian style with the legs crossed.
Yeah.
I said, this is not right. And this has been going on for the last 7 months. So, went to the hospital. They did a CT scan, and he goes, L5 has fused to S1, and between L4 and 5, he goes, it's supposed to be like this. He goes, yours is like this. So that's why I could feel the disc, the bones and all moving in my back, everything. He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay. So they recommended me to a neurosurgeon, and went saw the neurosurgeon. He wanted an MRI, but it's like he wanted the MRI like yesterday. Can you go today? Can you go tomorrow? When's
Right.
the soonest you can get there? So I went and had the MRI done, and spinal stenosis is what they call it. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's mild, moderate, severe. I don't know. I forget how they um, measure it and everything, but
Yeah.
it's, to my understanding, where my disc has slipped or bulged, however herniate do you want to say it, the bones, and it's all just pressing on those nerves. So that's why one minute I'm cold, one my hands are like I put them in ice and just left them there for 24 hours,
Yeah.
to where, you know, my hip, I cannot move my left hip or my left leg.
Hey, guardian.
Um, as far as like moving my leg, I'm dragging my leg.
Yeah.
I'm really not walking. I'm just dragging my leg. So I try to use my knee to do things, to move stuff around. Um, and the pain is just, oh my goodness, the motion. Nothing helps.
Right.
Nothing. I told them nothing helps. I've been to therapy. I've done the chiropractic stuff. You can forget it. It's not going to work because I've already been there, done that. So, with my disability, I have degenerative disc disease from the top of my head to the bottom, to my sacrum, to the butt. I have
Yeah.
7 herniated discs. I have fibromyalgia. The disability doctor that I was supposed to go see, he goes, I don't even have to see you. He goes, you'll never walk again. I have degenerative disc disease in both knees. So whichever doctor says it's not that, it's arthritis, it's still in the knees.
Mm-hmm.
And I have plantar fasciitis in both feet. And I've had the plantar fasciitis since 2002, along with the fibromyalgia. Um, so I'm like, if I can just get my fibromyalgia not to flare up, I can handle the rest of the pain. And oh yes, there's many days I've sat and cried myself to sleep, thinking, Lord, what are you doing? What's going on? But then I'm like, I know you're working it all out for good, because that's, I promise you, give to us.
Mm.
So the neurosurgeon wanted me to get shots.
Yeah.
So I never had shots. So I like, okay, I'll try it just to see. Well, you know, and my son did not want me to have the shots. I said, well, this is one step we've never had. Let's, this is the road the Lord has right now. We've got to walk it. Just walk it. Let's see what happens.
Right.
So I did a video about what happened with the shot, but I'll tell y'all now. I'll not do it again. Um, got there. They told me it was, it's a numb shot with a steroid, or it's supposed to a pain shot or something other
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I had to lay on my stomach and everything. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to put this numbing agent to numb this spot so I can put the needle in, blah, 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 and everything. He goes, it only takes 3 or 4 minutes and everything, and I was fine. And he goes, okay, you can get up. I couldn't move. I was paralyzed from the waist down between
Oh
5 and
my,
10 minutes.
wow.
And I'm sitting there and they go, you can get up. I'm like, I cannot get up. I can't move my legs. What do y'all not understand about that? I'm like, I'm trying. Now my left leg, I already knew. My right leg, I could. I'm like, okay. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, just take a breath. It's
Yeah.
okay. Still could feel, and like somebody touched my legs or touched my foot, I could feel it, but I
Hmm.
could not move. Literally, I could not move.
Was it like it was asleep? That kind of numb?
No, it wasn't even numb. It was just like dead.
Oh, okay.
Like the best way I can think of, if everybody's ever slept on your arm wrong way and you woke up and it was just a sleep, it was like dead numb. Like you
Hmm.
couldn't lift it up or nothing like that. That's where it was. I was literally paralyzed from the waist down. And so the good nurses are freaking out and they're like, this has never happened. What do we do? I thought to myself, y'all supposed to be nurses. Y'all should already know what to do.
Hmm.
And I was like, so they sitting there like, okay, just take your time. And they trying to get me to hurry up and move because they took another patient. I'm like,
Hmm.
I can't move. So they went and got the doctor and he
Yeah.
goes, what's going on? I'm like, I can't move. He goes, are you moving now? I was, because of my upper body strength, I was able to twist myself around. So they went and got a bed, a hospital bed, because they also had other like ER rooms, kind of like
Hmm.
in there. And they got a hospital bed, got me rolled over on that, and they only had me halfway on that bed to get me out of that room because they had another patient. He had to put a shot in their back. So I was sitting there and I'm laying there and she's asking me questions. I know, like, just go ahead and do the paperwork and everything. So
Hmm.
she got me set up, we set up and everything. And she was telling me, well, if you get nausea, headaches, if the swelling, if it oozes, if it does this, that, and the other, go to the ER quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So she goes, it's like the headache if you
Hold
had
on, Steph.
headache, beyond you ever had or whatever. It's called a spinal headache, and you need to get to the ER ASAP.
Hmm.
This is wonderful to know after this system happened. So she goes, do you want to try to stand up? I was like, all right, so let's try to stand up. I could stand up. I couldn't walk. Mm-mm. It was like there was 1,000 pounds on each leg. And I was like, do you want to try to walk out to the car? And I just gave her this dead stare, looked at her like, are you kidding me? So they got a wheelchair, got me in the wheelchair, and we went out to the waiting room. My son looked at me. He goes, what the world happened? He was not happy.
Hmm.
I'll explain to you in the car. Just go get the car. But him being so upset, he left my phone. I'm laughing at it, but it wasn't funny because he was so
Yeah.
upset. Because it wasn't until we got home, almost home, that we realized that we didn't have my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Lord, what lesson are you trying to teach me now?
Right.
Because, through this whole last year, from last March to now, you know, things didn't get sticky until after December, September, December. But it was like, this is how the devil uses stuff.
Hmm.
Because I would sit there and like, I don't want to have nothing to do with them. And then one sermon would be, don't give up. You don't know what someone's going through. You know, and I would pray and I was like, Lord, what do I do? And I felt like the Lord was saying, well, just pour into the person. And I was like, this is not right and this needs to be done. And then more confused than anything else. I'm like, I know the Lord is not the author of confusion, but you torn between and the Lord's telling you this and you know this is wrong and it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, with my back and everything was hurting and I was just like really down on myself and never thought about killing myself. Yeah, I did at one time because I hurt so bad, you
Yeah.
know, and the the devil will sit there and tell you your kids don't love you. Look what they're saying to you. They're not trying to help you, and nobody loves you, and nobody's talking to you, and this, that, and the other, and this guy's using you, and and on and on. And it's like you got to get it out of your head. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, so when we got in the car, we got almost home, and we didn't know. He goes, so he called to us, and he goes, we got to go back and get mom's phone. She goes, all right. So we get back there, and they closed at 3, but they had left early. And we get back there, and he's trying to. So what's taking so long? Because the girl I called the office, she said she didn't see the phone. I don't think they looked at all. But anyway, um, he goes, I was waiting for someone to come back and open the door because the door was locked when he got there. And we got there like 10 minutes to 3. So they already closed and left.
Mm-hmm.
On the way home, I'm kind of giggling and laughing, and he's so upset. And I'm just like, son, it's okay. He goes, no, it's not okay, Mom, because we don't have the money to get you another phone. I'm like, it's all right. The Lord is going to work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whatever, it's whatever. Because here's the ironic thing. When I went to go back in the back to go get my shot, I handed him my phone. And my exact words, I was like, here's my phone. I don't need this thing. And I was like, I don't know if the Lord was going to take me literally saying, I don't need that. Or if you lost it, what would you do?
Mm.
And I was just like, so on the way back home the second time, I'm like kind of giggling and laughing. And but I'm just sitting there thinking of stuff. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter if someone sees the Facebook or someone sees the pictures or someone sees the Instagram, whatever. If my Instagram was already hacked,
Mm-hmm.
someone else now had taken my photos and start using it for their own Instagram page and everything. I was like, well, maybe they need the Lord just as much as the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lord, I lost stuff before. If that's, what happens, then that's what happens. And then I'm okay with it. So I'll just have to get home and change all the passwords and we'll figure something else out. So we got home and we were able to go on
If you
to,
drop, sorry,
it's all
if
right.
you drop love, the word love in the chat, LOVE, it will share your link, guys. Go ahead.
So we got home and not through Google, but through Samsung, we were able to do locate phone and everything. And he took my the computer, went downstairs and did something with the Samsung and to have the person call his phone number if they found the phone. And somebody had taken it to the security office in the ER at the hospital and gave it to them. And because I was all the way home, I was like, okay, Lord, if the phone is gone, it's gone. And if it's not, have someone has show that there's still honorable people in the world,
Yeah.
and sure enough, there was somebody who was still honest enough that took the phone ER department to the security office, security people there, and that's where my
Mm-hmm.
phone was at. So when the guy called my son's phone, I mean, it was just like his face just lit up that someone had sit there was honest enough to take that phone and take it to where it needed to be, and that someone didn't have it and start trying to use it or anything.
Right.
And I was like, so we all got in the car and got the phone, and I just told myself, I think that was the Lord trying to see how we were going to react. I
Mm-hmm.
just sit there said, "Here's the phone. I don't need it."
Right.
You know, you watch what you're saying, how you say it, and the Lord is going to sit there and put you to that test
Right.
real quick. And I was like, that was, and I didn't want to get back to doing my Bible time with me on the channel and everything. And I've been putting it off and putting it off. And I was like, well, now I'm not, well, I can't sit downstairs and thing. And I was like, yeah, and he just kept putting on my heart. And I was like, yeah, but in the room, you would try to come up with something. And I already know that lesson. Nancy, you know that's lesson. When the Lord tells you to do something,
Mm-hmm.
you better do it because He's testing you on doing something. So um, I start with Psalms 91 because we
Mm-hmm.
say that Anastasia and I say that every night. That's one of the, besides Psalms 23, one of the Bible passages that she has learned. And I'm like, okay, so I got the book out. And it's like, here we go. And I start with the names of God. So I'm continuing with that as we go through Psalms 91 because there's several names of God in that one. And I'm like, when the Lord says, pick it up and do that video, do it. So I did it. And I'm just like, okay. I'm like, but how? And I stay in my video. When I was 13, I was going to go in the mission field, and I was like, well, how you do that when you can't really physically do it anymore? And I'm like, Lord, how? And he goes, what do you got in your hand?
Yeah.
Cell phone, a computer, raised just like they did when the radio came out. They, oh, that's evil, and, that's from the devil, but the Lord used it. Same thing
Yeah.
with the TV. The preacher said, that's the blue tube. It's going to put stuff in your head that ain't supposed to be there. But then when the churches had channels come on the TV and everything, well, it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Yep.
So, um, as far as a shot goes, yeah, it has not helped me at all. So they called me yesterday to ask how I was doing. The nurse did. I'm like, it didn't help. She got, because they told me 3 to 4 days. Now
Yeah.
it's 5 to 7 days for it to kick in. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm just, Brian, I want to say, you say Brian's last name, Loses is Brian's last name. He has a channel on here. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's why I won't get a shot. He goes, forget it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. He goes, I've heard that story before. He goes, I will just suffer. I was like, I'll do it once, see what it would help. And yeah, my pain level, it gets down to like a 1, and then all of a sudden the desk, I mean, right here in the middle, I can feel it moving like this. And
Yeah.
like, y'all, because I asked him, I says, is this shot going to push the disc back into place? Oh no, this is just to help relieve the pain. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, ain't that what everything else is supposed to be for? Why give you a shot in your back if it's not going to fix the problem that's causing the problem?
Right.
So I go back to the neurosurgeon next week.
Basically, it deadens the nerves in your back so that which I don't know how good that is for your nerves, but yeah.
And it was, yeah, it's supposed to reduce the swelling and be a pain shot. So it went from being a pain shot to a steroid shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, y'all are just making any sense whatsoever. Because I was an EMT for 8 years. I know all the medical jargon stuff y'all talking about. So you can't get anything past me. And they kind of just looked up
I
the
I
look on their
think
face.
Steph Steph made a comment about God is God. He knows whatever name you call him. But I think what you're looking at in Scripture is there's different names that we call him because we're referring to him in a different way and relating to him in a different way.
Right.
And so that's what she's referring to in that scripture, Stephanie.
Yeah, because like Jehovah Wire is Jehovah Wire, Jehovah Jireh, Yeshua, and God Almighty, and they all had different meanings.
Mm-hmm.
And That's what, and I explained that in the video. I went to a Baptist church. I grew up in a church. I grew up in a we went to a Christian school and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I now more about the Bible than I ever did all those times I was going to school, 18 years worth of Christian school, and he never taught us the names of what God's names means, because God has
Mm-hmm.
many different names.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, because Yahweh is Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
Savior. And it's like, they never taught us that. And I was just like, so I was like, this is exciting. I've got to share it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today, my back pain level is like a 4 or 5 for right now. And then, later on, I'll be back to a 10. So I have a
Yeah.
child that I've got to keep care of and everything. But I'm just like, no, I did not like that whatsoever. Not be able to move my legs, not be able to sit, walk. That was like, I yeah, that was the worst thing I possibly could think of that could happen with a shot or surgery, being paralyzed from the waist down. And I was like, mm-mm. And my son already looked at me. He goes, "You're not having surgery." He goes,
Yeah.
"I'm putting my foot down." He goes,
Yeah.
"I saw you coming out in a wheelchair. I knew something was wrong."
Yeah. I think if you focus on just what what your mission and focus on that more, um, maybe you'll get some relief, and
Exactly. And it's
yeah.
just like, because I was telling him, I like, my left hip feels like it's out of place, but nobody will. Now they didn't do an MRI on my hip or anything. They just claim it's arthritis, and I'm just like, okay, but you know, when I walk, I always walk to duck foot. My feet were out. And my right foot is normal, and my left foot is like this. So they say a normal gait is your both feet walking like this. I'm like, well, that's not my normal gait. No. My left leg is weak. I'm like, when I go to stop, I have to be hesitant to when I stop, because I don't know when my left hip is going to go out, because it has gone out on me several times and I have just gone flat in the floor.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's wonderful. I think I was trying to stay within an hour, and we've
oh
gone
yeah,
2 hours. So um, I think I'm going to end the chat. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And uh, look to Treasured Home if you're looking for some scripture and some understanding of the word. Are you going to continue to do that on your channel, or
yes,
what do you say
yes,
to that? Okay.
yes, because then as soon as I get through with Psalms 91. I've got so many things I can do. I've got
Mhm.
Corinthians and Philippians, and then I've got James study guide that's coming in. I have with the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering,
Mhm.
goodness, meekness, kindness, and self
Yeah.
control. So
Yeah.
I like the things that we've lost over the years, and Lord, and I'm telling you, I've said this in many videos, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, God will restore. I don't care what mistake you've made. He knows what happens. He will restore it 100-fold, 120-fold, 100-fold.
Yeah.
Got to give it to him and keep on going. Do I still struggle with that? Yes. There are days I still have to step back and like, okay, I can't think about this. What happened? Lord, what do you look at today? And just
I
keep
think
going with
that's
him.
yeah, exactly. I think that's what we need to remember. Just because we're Christians, it doesn't mean that we're perfect. I was raised in the church as well, and struggle sometimes, not really with knowing that God is God and all of that, but just knowing where I stand. Are just the world puts out so many lies for us,
Exactly.
and as you walk through your faith, and people can disappoint you, whether they're in the church or they're not. And I think you experience some of that with your working at the school that was Christian, and the people that disappointed you there. I've experienced that in churches, and so that's why um, I am. When I talk about my faith, I talk about my relationship with Christ, because we are looking for a church. We believe in going to church, but we haven't found one yet here in Tennessee. Um, the the thing is about that is that I still have Christ within me, and I can still fellowship with others,
That's
and
right.
I have my faith every day, and I can come and share that with other people's here on YouTube, and help people through struggles, whether they believe or they don't believe. We
Exactly.
are we are um, when we accept Christ as our Savior, He walks within us, and we don't walk alone anymore. And we need to hold on to that, and we need to step into that as we're going through this world and all the struggles that are in it right now. Um, but does it mean that we're perfect and we're without flaws? No, no. We are held up to a different standard, but we are flawless, and but we have a forgiving God, and as we turn our eyes towards Him and ask for forgiveness, and you know God embraces us. he
Exactly.
he doesn't let His lambs go. So um that's what I want to end the chat with. Thank you guys for all coming, and if you guys want to share your story, I would love, um, whether it's about faith or it isn't about faith. I would love to hear your story, or if you just want to share your channel, I would love to hear that as well. So
Thank
we'll
you,
see you
Dave.
guys next time with another great story, and God bless.
Y'all have a wonderful day. God bless and stay safe.
Stay safe. Bye.
Later.